Welcome to the Offshore Club's most riveting and revealing offshore lifestyle podcast, Open Mike, with Mike Cobb. For more than 20 years, Mike has worked and lived in Caribbean countries from north to south and the Atlantic to the Pacific. Nobody knows it better. And now, here is your offshore ambassador at large, Mike Cobb.
Welcome back to Open Mike in this special three-part series, which I call the Todd Greenwald Odyssey, okay? The Iliad and the Odyssey of Todd Greenwald, because Todd, who's with us today, is moving to Nicaragua, specifically Gran Pacifica, and he shared with us in episode 1, and if you didn't see that, go to offshore.club, look it up, episode 1, Open Mike with Todd and Mike. And in that episode, we talked about what motivated him to make the move and a little bit of what he expected to find. And Mike filled in all the blanks for us. So we got the first-hand information from the guy who actually built Gran Pacifica. And today, we're going to dive deeper into it to talk about what Todd is going to find there and how he feels about that. All right. So first of all, I think, first let's set the stage, Mike, by you telling us, give us a little background on your building of Gran Pacifica, what you intended for it, and then we'll switch to Todd to see if that's really what he's looking for.
That's funny. It's funny, Carter, because in the last episode, Todd, you said something that I had forgotten about. That when we first bought this property, and the property is huge. It's 3.5 miles of beachfront property, right? It's a mile deep, right? So, I mean, literally 3.5 miles by 1 mile. And when we first bought the property, in our heads, we were thinking what all the developers do, or most developers do. They put a road from one end to the other, they chop it up into a whole bunch of lots, sell the lots, and put the money in their pocket and leave, right? Yeah. And probably the first year after we bought it, that was kind of what we were thinking, because that's the standard developer model, right? But one of the directors of our company at the time was a former chairman of Bayer Corporation, and we were at a board meeting, and my business partner and I were, 20 years younger at that point. Yeah, 20 years younger, and I can still remember him sitting at the head of the table. He's the chairman. He goes, "Boys." We're arguing about what we're going to do. He goes, "Boys, you're building a town. Hire a city planner."
Excellent.
Whoa, right? It was this gestalt awakening, like, you're right. He said, "You're building a city. Hire a city planner," right? And that's a little grand, but I mean, 3.5 miles by a mile, that's a town. Any way you shake it, that's a town, right? Yeah. Anyway, so he said, I know a great urban planner right here in Pittsburgh. And it was a company called Urban Design Associates. And they had designed Walt Disney. When Walt Disney wanted to build a town in Florida called Celebration, they hired Urban Design Associates to design that town. And they've designed many towns over the years. And so we met with this guy, Rob, and what we learned, which was a real paradigm shift in my mind as a developer, was that if you build a town, if you build a community, right, if you get the right physical architecture, community will happen organically, right? If you put things like sidewalks and paths, and you put clusters of homes fairly close together, and you put things like a restaurant or an ice cream shop or whatever the amenities are, the clubhouse, the tennis course, things like that. If you put them within a 5-minute walk, people will walk. If it's more than 5 minutes, people will drive. There's a science to that. They understand that. That's empirical, right? Okay. And so when you lay things out in these neighborhoods, and that's what we call them, neighborhoods inside a town, and you make it very pedestrian friendly, people will walk. Well, now all of a sudden when people are walking, they pass each other and they say, "Hey, Carter, how are you this morning?" "I'm good." And I might like you, Carter. I might, get to know you, and I might like you.
Be a nice change of pace.
On the other hand, I might not like you, right? Exactly.
Now you're talking.
But if you're walking around seeing people, or if you're down at the tennis court, right, you create these third spaces where people can get together. Community happens because people want to be around other people. They want to make friends. They want to build community, right? And so this is the foundational element now of our entire development company and development structure. So what's happening that's specific to Utah that I am just overjoyed with is that the response that we received from Jeff Berwick, and you mentioned him in the last segment, Jeff Berwick and other newsletter writers, other producers like you, Carter, and what we're doing with Offshore Club, we're talking to a group of people who love freedom, who care about freedom, who see their freedoms eroding, and they're looking for a way to resolve that, right? As a plan B in some cases.
Or to have community, because they're trying to do away with community in this country right now.
You got it, Todd.
Exactly.
Bingo.
They don't want people talking and saying hi to your neighbor. They want us divided, and that appeals
Closing
to
churches.
me. Yeah,
Closing churches.
to be able to meet someone that from another part of the world and get to know them and make a friend or a couple or another. I'm hoping there's single women down there.
There are. Hey, by the way, there's a saying about that, by the way. If you go to Nicaragua as a single man, you're not leaving single.
No.
So let me be very clear. That ain't happening.
That's awesome.
but you know, but the idea of community, being around people who share the same philosophical foundation, like the same philosophies. So you don't have to worry. And that's what's happening at Gran Pacifica right now. The number of people who care about freedom, who are coming through freedom-oriented programs like the Offshore Club, like Jeff's and others, right, are actually going to be your neighbors.
That's
They're
fantastic.
going to be your neighbors.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Ah.
You said something, and I almost want to make this parenthetical, but about in this country now, they don't want you to have community. Exactly what, Mike, you designed for Gran Pacifica. In America, they don't. I got a call from my brother yesterday. I grew up in Baltimore City, but right before that, we lived in a little town called Hancock, Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a small town. Went to my half a year at Hancock High School, and my brother called yesterday and said they're closing it down. Well, the town is the same size, same number of kids. What they don't want is a small town high school.
Are they going to ship them off to Hagerstown or something?
Clear Spring.
Oh, Clear Spring.
15 miles away. Yeah. But you see, there you had community. There you had parental involvement. And big government stepped in and said, we got to put a stop to that.
Yeah.
So it's exactly what you just said. Whereas Mike went the opposite direction with Gran Pacifica, and you're moving to a community now.
That's so appealing. And you brought up a good point. You know, I'm hoping to get to know everybody at some point down there to say hi, and maybe I'll click with a lot, maybe, different. Yeah, and there's maybe some people I don't have common interests. You never know because varied backgrounds or whatever. But everybody, I do believe this 100%. Everybody who's moving there from other parts of the world, whether it's Canada, the U.S., Australia, they're moving there because they don't want the oppression that they're experiencing. And they want a chance at freedom and to make new friends. And gotta kind of draw a line in the sand and say that was that. This is moving forward. You're presenting a idea that is now real, where people can actually have that life that they want or maybe had growing up.
Yeah, being able to be back in a hometown, which is really what you've built.
Yeah.
Like a hometown where people can go, and it's kind of the walkable community concept, I think you hear it called sometime, where you'll be able to walk out to the ice cream parlor, right?
Yeah, walk down to Sea Salt, or I'm renting a house before mine is built, and when Juan sent me the list, it started with the furthest away from the resort, Casa Charos, and then the closer it got more expensive. Well, it's just me, it wasn't important. And when I was going to travel, one of my adventures was to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. So I've been walking for years, and walking a long time. You know, for a while I was walking 2 hours, 8 miles, 10 miles every day.
Right.
So 11-minute walk to me, or I think Patrick said one of the webinars, if you want to walk 20 miles down the beach, I'm like, that sounds awesome. And get up early in the morning, walk 20 miles or for 4 hours and see where it leads me, and then walk back. I mean, it just sounds like an adventure.
How the home you're buying, let's get specific here. Tell us about the home that you are buying.
My home is in the EVA Echo Village, and they're the cozy homes.
They are cozy.
Or the tiny homes. But for a single person like me, a 2-bedroom is perfect. I have a guest bedroom if anybody can ever get out of the United States in the future and wants to come visit. If not, it's all good. and correct me if I'm wrong, a minute, 2-minute walk, 45 seconds to the beach from where I'm at, the base
A minute. Yeah, a minute.
So very close to the beach.
Incredible.
3.5 miles, which, I mean, if I do the both up and back in the morning, I get 7 miles in.
Yeah.
At the sunrise, that appeals to me. Walking at sunset appeals to me. So and I don't know who designed all the homes, but for those who haven't seen the homes, I encourage you to go to ECI, request info, get the brochures, look at the website, because the homes are amazing.
Let me ask you, our super producer, Brian, insert, right, a few homes here while we're talking, right? Pictures of the homes. Good. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
And they are spectacular. I stake no claim to any of the designs. We have a wonderful team of people who are artistically gifted to be able to design wonderful things, and then a group of engineers who are able to actually put the construction documents in place. Again, it takes both. It takes the artistic element, it takes the engineering element, and we've got a team of people that do exactly that.
I want it to look like the way they presented it, and so what you're saying is that they designed it, they can build what they designed.
Exactly.
So that when I get there, it looks like what
Now, the plants around it will take a couple years to grow in. So, but
that actually, in many ways, appeals to me because one, I don't have any yard work to be responsible for.
Yes.
I like the idea of the tropical plants.
Yep.
Even though there's a golf course there, someone else can mow that and
They do.
take care of that. So I don't think I'm gonna miss some of the traditional landscaping that we see in the U.S. But yeah, and I think for me, getting there before I'll be there before my home is done. My home will be done sometime in fall. They're building it now, the way I understand it. At least I hope they.
it is. It's under construction. In fact, I sent Brian. You were talking about that. I sent him a little video of the factory making the walls.
Okay.
It's a pour. They pour everything, stand it up, and then they'll bring it to the site and assemble it. So they're already making, I don't know, the first 20 some homes, and I've seen them all lined up, curing, not drying.
Right.
Curing.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's very exciting. And when you get down there, there'll already be, I think, 3 weeks from now, they're bringing the first set of walls to put on. The foundations are already done.
Okay.
So they're going to bring the first set of walls for like the first, I don't know, 4 or 5 homes, whatever it is. And
So
yeah,
you'll be
very
able to go
exciting.
watch your home be built.
Exactly, and I'll be
True.
able to then learn the community, meet the people who are currently there, the people who are moving in, because my guess is, correct me if I'm wrong, that I don't know how many people have already moved in, like myself in advance, but
3, Todd. There
Okay.
are three folks already there renting in.
waiting for
Waiting
theirs to
home
be, yeah.
to
So
build.
more and more people, I anticipate over the next 6 months to a year, will be
Absolutely.
moving in because they're waiting for their homes to be built. So I'll get a chance to get the lay of the land, to explore, to make friends, to see my house being built.
Right.
So it's very exciting, and again, the idea of the whole tropical environment it's so because the United States is pretty much, there's a lot of similarities no matter where you go. You have evergreen trees and this and that, and
Right.
so I'm really excited about that.
So now we talked about the fruit trees. Will he have any fruit trees near his?
Well, you could, if you want to plant fruit trees in your yard, you certainly can. But what we've done in and around the Ava community, and we're gonna, and it's been, we slated the first 50, they sold out. We opened up another 50. I think we're up into the 70s now. So the next, 20 are already committed and reserved.
Right.
We've actually now figured out where we're going to put Ava 3, which is another 50, and Ava 4, which is another 50. But in between the two, in the first Ava community, there is an orchard area, and we've already planted, several hundred fruit trees, mango, avocado, sour orange, I think, and some others. Anyway, so that will get expanded as Ava 3 and Ava 4 come along. But the other thing we're doing is we've allocated land, and we haven't done anything with it yet, for community gardens, which is interesting because there's a difference between community and communal, and we'll have both. Community gardens is, Todd, here's your little plot of land, grow whatever you want on it. Communal is something that we would organize. We would then help decide what goes in there and then maintain it. But anyone in the community is welcome to join in, and those foods and that produce is then shared with the community. So it's pretty cool. And we've got the land allocated. We'll get it ready next dry season, because you can't do it when you're building houses. There's too much activity, people walking on stuff. You just can't do it. But once Ava 1 is done, and it'll be done by January, then we can come in and do that and create those spaces, so that, by the time rainy season, which starts next May, a year from now, will be the first planting season in the community and communal gardens. So very excited about that.
Well, and to be really on, I know the community's been there for a while and homes have been there, but this feels like just the beginning for everything that's going on. And I know it's not, but it still feels like.
Well, it is. It's this incredible evolution, right? They always say that you never do anything, you stand on the shoulders of those that came before you, right?
Right.
And Gran Pacifica has taken 11, 12 years to be what it is today, which is 100 homes and 30 some condos, 34 condos, whatever it is. That's what it is today. But in the space of 12 months, maybe 16 months, we will go from 100 homes and 30 some condos to 200 homes. I mean,
Wow.
like, we're going to double Gran Pacifica in 18 months, right? And probably triple or quadruple the number of people who want to live there, like you, Todd. I mean, right now we probably have 30 to 40 people that live on property year round. I think 24 months from now, that number is going to be well over 100 year round residents, right? And then in high season, because we have a lot of snowbirds. They come down in the winter, they go in the summer. I mean, you won't be here in the summertime, right? But to have full-time residents in the 100+ number, a year and a half from now, is very exciting. So yes, it's taking off at a faster pace. But again, it's because for the last 12 years we've built the shoulders that we can now stand on.
Foundation of it,
Yeah. All right. So on episode 1, we discussed a lot about why Todd felt it was time to make the move from the U.S. to Nicaragua. Today, we have talked about what he expects to find when he gets there, and pretty much verified by the builder himself, which all sounds pretty good. Does it sound good to you?
Sounds amazing. I mean, if things were normal, whatever that is, because when I think back to what normal was, I mean, I don't even know if that was normal. It was still squirrely, but would I actually be contemplating moving out of the country? I don't know. Would I be contemplating and investing in the place, possibly, to do what people do, go down in the winter and come back? But now this seems to present the opportunity to really, I'm looking at the ending of one chapter, as I said last episode, the beginning of a totally, we live our life with so many expectations because people tell us things, and so-and-so did this and so-and-so did that. So you already have this formed idea that when I go to do X, because other people have experienced it, that's the way it's going to be. Well, I've talked to Mike, he's lived there. Patrick lives there. I've talked to Leslie, but I really don't know anybody that's truly experienced this adventure that I'm embarking on. So to me, when I get down there, it's going to be, let's make it up every day as we go along and see what happens and send pictures home. Yep. A friend of mine yesterday, please send a lot of pictures. I'm like, don't worry, sunsets, sunrises, mountains, volcanoes, birds, this, that. You can always move down there. I'm telling you, the development's happening.
All right, and that's the final word, is appropriately enough, from Todd himself on episode 2 of the Iliad and Odyssey of Todd Greenwald to Nicaragua. And watch it at offshore.club on noon on Fridays, open mic, okay? That as opposed to
Monday.
Coffee with Tara Carter every Monday at offshore.club at noon. And so stay tuned, come back next week, because we're going to finish up this 3-part, a very absorbing 3-part open mic a series with Todd Greenwald. And we're going to talk about the cultural change, maybe the cultural shock. We'll see. So thanks for joining us, and see you next week.
For more information on the Offshore Club or to contact Mike Cobb, visit www.offshore.club today. www.offshore.club. That's www.offshore.club. See you next time at the Offshore Club.